Okay, so I got my hoodie on because hold on, let me cover up this head. Only because of the simple fact it's a little cold in here, man. Like it's cold. This is Tacoma's like weather. Um like it's warm during the day, but it's cold at night. So we've turned the furnace off because it's gas. We've already discussed the whole thing about utilities and all that stuff. You guys know that story, right? So we turned that off a bit, or I turned that off a bit ago. But man, it is cold. But anyway, that's not what this video is actually about. Be sure to join the Discord down in the description box below. I'm going to talk about something that I talked about before. Um, Hold on, let me. Oh, here we go. Found it right out the gate. I just had a beer. Nowadays, I can't drink beers like I used to, man. I just can't do it. It gives me gas. It's just, I can't do it. But anyway, I did this story that talked about Green Harbor communities. Remember, I there was this development that was going to be called the Preserve, and they were going to build these homes for people who they're targeting people to basically be first time home buyers mainly. They have to live and they have to work actually within this general region. The homes are going to be under 150,000, something like that. It was called the Preserve. They wanted to put it on a piece of land that's owned by the school district, but it's basically swamp back there, so they can't build on that part. But the other part, they were going to build houses on it. I thought it was too short sighted because I said that essentially not everyone needs to have a home, like an individual home. Why not build up? Because I mentioned in that Yesler Terrace in Seattle, where you have developers that come in and they actually build up because you're able to get more people in there as opposed to single family homes with yards. One of the it's a hypocritical because I have a house. Yes, it is. But one of the throwback things that I feel is kind of a throwback is, excuse me, is this belief that everybody should have a single family home, and everybody should have like a big yard and all of this stuff, and everybody's mowing their grass, and that's just not the reality. If everyone on the planet did that, there would be no barely any space for us to grow food to live. The infrastructure of that is expensive, right? It's just expensive. It doesn't make sense to do that. It's not practical. And you run across that even when I went to Haiti. You had well-intentioned nonprofits who wanted to build everyone a house, and everyone would get a house and all of this, but they did not plan for people to have good upkeep. This project's different, I get that. But without a job, the folks in Haiti can't upkeep their homes. And logistics are a problem because a lot of people in that general area didn't have access to automobiles. There's no public transportation. There's hardly any roads. There's hardly any electric, water, you name it. It's coming from a good place in terms of wanting to build these homes, but it's not the most practical thing to do. And this is the same thing with this. This particular project was not the most practical thing to do. And they had to, just a few days ago, basically say that they are ending this project. Okay. There was going to be some 74 lots or something like that available. It's been for 5 years they've been working on this project, and they haven't really done much. They haven't really broke ground or anything like that because of the simple fact. I mean, there's one. I should take that back. I mean, there's one. There's one little house here and all of that, and they built it and all of that. It's cool. But the problem is, and the concept is, I like the concept. The concept of you would be leasehold. So you would lease the land from them, but you would own the home. And so you basically would own the home, but not own the land. So therefore, if you decide to sell it again, you would have to go through them before you could do it. They want to make sure that the same people that were qualified to get that home would be further down the line. They didn't want gentrification. And their whole point was building a home where people can afford it and all of that. Again, it comes from a good place, but the days of doing this have passed. Everything has a time limit on it, unfortunately. Everything has a time limit. And if you don't do it at the right time, it's not going to happen. This should have been something that was done 10 years ago. Because when they started this 5 years ago, home prices here were much cheaper. And for whatever reason, it just took a while for them to get started. I don't know. But it would have actually been possibly better if this was done at least 10 years ago. The concept just didn't come up, I guess. I'm not sure. So when you add up all of the people that are involved in this and who's getting a paycheck and this, that, and the other, and you're talking 5 years and nothing has happened, that's a lot of money down the tubes, right? It's a lot of money down the tubes. Personally, what I think they should have done was come up with a completely different plan and not involve single family homes. They were talking about, the price of wood has gone up, and it has. Construction costs here in Tacoma are very expensive. And so it's kind of like, gold. So this is my ring. I don't wear it a lot because it hurts my finger and all that. But this is my ring. This is gold, right? There's diamonds all in there and everything else, right? There's a few. Can you see them? I don't know. There's diamonds all in there. It's gold. So gold has value. And typically gold just keeps rising. It's getting harder and harder to find gold. Whatever. I mean, there's all the stuff into why gold goes up and talking about commodities and all that stuff, right? But the longer you sit and wait, the more that price keeps going up and up and up and up. But your money is not going up and up and up and up. And so what you have is a situation where they wanted to keep prices very, very low for people. They wanted prices to be $100,000 to $150,000, which is very unrealistic in any market. If you took this project and put it in Smith Grove, Kentucky, it would still not make a lot of sense because even there, homes are worth more than that. You get what I'm saying? Like, these homes were way, way below the price of anything that makes sense. Now, I'm not somebody that, builds homes for a living or anything like that, but it doesn't take that to see that it doesn't make any sense. So when you add up the cost of lumber to do this, and then you add up the cost of everything else that you need, then you got I forget now the cost it is to build a home. It's the same no matter if you're in Seattle or down here. I forget how much it is per square foot. As a contractor, as a contractor building a home, I forget how much it is. Right? Let me think. Hold on. I'll tell you. So I actually had to figure this out back in the day when I was working for that one company. I'll tell you. Hold on. I just need access to my calculator because I definitely can't do the math in my head. But I'll tell you, and this was just a few years ago. Hopefully this comes up and I'll tell you. Hold on. And these were just basic homes. These were not homes that were going to be super, spectacular or anything like that. Let's just say. Okay, that's about right. So a few years ago, to build a home, you're looking at about $200 a square foot. For a contractor to build a home, it's about $200 a square foot. Now, that was a few years ago. Now that's changed. And even then, that was still lowballing. That's a lowball answer. So if you go to a contractor and say, build me this house, even a few years ago at $200, that was low. I think that we made it that low because they knew the person and all this other stuff, and they were trying to cut them a deal. But it's expensive, right? The contractor is going to make sure that they get enough to obviously satisfy their needs and make it worth it, because there's a lot of time involved building homes. You especially here, there's so many people that are hired to do very basic work. I'm not trying to be rude, but you have people, especially when the permit process comes, you have to, if you're building a home, you have to get a permit for every single thing. And those guys come from the city, they come out, or the county, they come out and they take a look around and then they leave. It's a waste of money, right? Because a lot of times they're not really doing much. Some, it depends on who you get, but some don't do nothing. They just look, yep, all right, looks great. It's a 10, 15-minute deal. And so it's a way for a city to pay people and create a job where you're going to get revenue, because you have to pay as a developer, you have to pay for those permits, which you bill to the customer, right? So anyway, so the point is, if you look at a 1,500 square foot house, that's $300,000 to build. But they're wanting to sell homes for $150,000. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. You're basically taking and even if you go back a couple of years, let's just say you go back 5 years ago when they started, I don't know, probably at that time, maybe homes to build were maybe 185, 195. Let's just go 185, okay? 185 a square foot. Let's say these are 1,200 square foot homes. I don't know, but that's 220,000. Even then, 222,000. So it sounded nice, but it didn't make sense. Whereas if they would have actually built a mid-rise condo, then you're going to move the needle a little bit more. Why? Because a condo does cost more when you're thinking about, you're building up and all of that, but you have volume. And the volume really makes a lot of sense. You probably could have got buy-in from other developers or investors or what have you that would say, yeah, I'm willing to do that. They're not going to want to spend their time and effort on a house. If you're a big investor, you're not going to waste your money on a cheap little house when you're wanting something that costs millions overall. The payout has to be good. So had they planned this to where they could fit a lot of people in there, more than just the 74 plots of land that they had, then it would have probably done better. Yes, you need more up front, but you probably could have got, especially with them being nonprofit and the money that they were getting, you probably could have had a developer help with that process. Or even this, to build a triplex. You could basically build a triplex where it doesn't have to be super big. It still can be made out of wood, but you have literally, and I've seen them even in Indianapolis, in Carmel, or actually it's Clay Terrace, which is in Carmel, Indiana. They have a whole area that is like this hoity-toity. They try to create this little town. It's pretty cool. But there's these buildings, these homes, there are 3 levels, and they look amazing. And they have them kind of like row houses, but they're not exactly row houses. But even building a development like that, where you are kind of building up so that people have like their living room or whatever, and their entryway on their first floor. And then on their second floor, they may have the kitchen, I think is how they had it there. So you have your kitchen and whatnot, and then you have your bedrooms on the top floor. The layout was sick, right? It was pretty cool. You had up on your top floor, you had a bedroom. On the area with your kitchen, you had a bed, or no, on the top floor with all your bedrooms, you had a bathroom. The second floor with the kitchen had a bathroom, and then the bottom floor was basically just kind of, living room and just whatever, laundry room, all that stuff. It was really cool, right? But anyway, that type of plan where you're able to put three homes or three families kind of in one footprint, you probably would have got some traction. It would have been a pretty cool urban village where you still could have the whole idea of having the preserve, so preserving all of that land which you can't build on anyway. It's marshland. But still having all of that the way that it is, but actually building up. That's the big problem with Tacoma, is building too small. And eventually we're going to run out of land. But that's the big issue. But if we were able to literally start getting more and more developers to try to build up a little more, things would be better. But it's not shocking that this project did not go farther. They were talking about, for clarity's sake, the same lumber package last year. So this was made in this year, April 21. So just a couple of days ago. Today's the 23rd. The same lumber package last year cost $19,000, and the current price is approximately $53,000. So the price went up high. The most unfortunate, devastating part of the price increases is that we would not have been able to help our target buyers if we raised our prices to correlate with the market. We did not start this adventure to be another traditional developer. We started to drive change and support the community's essential individuals and families such as nurses, teachers, city employees, etc. Our team has not worked for almost 5 years with early mornings, weekends, whatever. I get it. I get what they're saying, but if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. And it to me, this was a project that started it was a great vision. It was a great idea, but poorly executed, in my opinion, right? This is why a lot of times when people ask, the question of what experience does a person have, and they're looking for someone with a lot of experience, this is an example where you can have people that have a lot of experience and still fail. And you can find people that don't have any experience in something, they have passion, drive, and they think about it and they can make it work, right? So I don't go on the whole, what experience do you have? I go on, what's the idea? How do you plan to execute it? Does it make sense? Does the numbers make sense? Especially me personally, I look at the numbers. Numbers have to make sense for me. And this did not make sense. The houses were small. They were very basic. It was really restrictive in terms of if you wanted to resell. They were restrictive on who could buy. And I get it. I get the point. But it was just very restrictive. It was going to be very difficult to pull off. Then you have a ton of people. I don't know if they're all volunteers or workers or what, or if they're paid or not. But you have a ton of people that's on payroll. It's just that's typically the problem. Even in Haiti, the big problem is they get this money donated to them, these nonprofits, and they're saying we're going to go in and we're going to do a lot of great things, but they pay people big bunches of money, and we're still in the development phase. You still have a lot of people who say, yep, I'm working for this project, and it's like, you're not there yet. You need maybe one or two people to get things going, yet you have 15 people. You got to pay all 15, whereas one or two people need to bust their butt hard and come up with every single strategy, every single idea, and work and do 6 or 7 people's jobs until you get to that point of where you're able to do different things. So I don't know. Overall, it sucks, but it seems like this project is completely stopped. Another project which has nothing to do with this, but it's just a company's decision, which is the Marcus Theaters. Marcus Theaters I think it's what it's called. But anyhow, they were going to go to the Tacoma Mall and have a theater there. Tacoma doesn't have an actual mall in the city limits. It used to didn't, and now it does at Ruston, I believe. Point Ruston. But they were going to put a theater there, and that's not going to happen. right? Why? The sickness. COVID really changed a lot of different things, and it really made businesses understand that you have to plan because you never know what's going to happen. So I think that really influenced their decision. Um, there could be a possibility of another company coming in because the city is growing at such a size. It would be stupid not to have a movie theater there. Um, I mean, it's something that's needed. But anyhow, we'll see what happens. That's pretty much it. Make sure you join the Discord down in the description box below. I feel nice and warm now. I'm not as cold as I was. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and comment. Until next time, I will see you. Take care.